Good morning. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Let's just check the sound. Got my headset in. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. Good morning. Hi. Coming in. Say hello in the chat. Just make sure if you're saying hi in the chat that you say hello to all panelists and attendees. Otherwise, I'll be able to see it, but nobody else will. Good morning, good morning. You can hear me great, fantastic. Welcome. Oh gosh, I'm so excited to get started today. Let me just see if I can pull up my screen. Hi, hello, hello, good morning. Good morning, Becky and Zoe and wow, Ida, so many people. Hi, good morning or middle of afternoon here. Okay, right. Lady in blue. Yes, you've seen this dress in real life, Juliet, haven't you? Listening while homeschooling. That's absolutely fine. All welcome here. Do come in, say hi, tell us. I'd love to know, where's everyone watching from? Let's see, who can we get, who gets the prize for the furthest watcher? I'm in Southeast London, so who's the furthest from Southeast London? Hong Kong. Okay, Angela, I think you might be on it. Epping, wow, so many people here. Croydon, say you lose, yeah, not far at all. Closest watcher, Deptford. Oh, okay, maybe. Wonderful, so good to see you all. And if any of the club members are in here today as well, say hi. Right, let's see. Okay, share my screen, presentation, let's go. Can everybody see this? Great, let me pull the chat up as well. Watching it in Heathrow. Oh, and a narrow boat. Oh my goodness. Oh, I think South Norwood might be the winner. Right, slideshow. Let's see. Mitcham from Anglesey. You can see the slides. Excellent. Can everyone see a nice big slide that says grow your sales, the Resilient Retail Club? Oh, Forest Hill. Oh, yes, Bridget, you are very close to me, aren't you? Yes. Good morning, good morning. Let's see. We have got around 150 people watching. It's amazing. Crystal Palace, yes, excellent. So I thank you, first of all. I just want to say a huge thank you, and I'm so appreciative of everyone taking the time out of their busy day to come and join us today. Thank you to everyone. I know that these last few months have been a huge juggle, which is of course what we're going to be talking about. Yeah, I'm just really delighted that you're here with me. If you're watching on the replay, then please let us know. If you are watching this, if you want to do a screen share, if anyone feels like sharing on Instagram that they're watching, I always love it. You can tag me at Resilient Retail Club. And if you're watching the replay, then tell us that you're watching the replay as well, or tell us if you're watching live. Crofton Park. Yes. So yes, lots of local people. So true. So let's just go over a couple of housekeeping things. First off, it is a recording. I am recording. Let me just double check, because I think every single time I do anything, whether it's a podcast recording or a talk, halfway through I have a moment of panic where I think I might have forgotten to hit record. So I have recorded. It is recording. I will be sending this out this afternoon via a link, so you'll get email with a link in. So if you have to leave, your internet cuts out, anything else, then don't worry, it will all be recorded. My internet has been very stable recently, but I do always say a little prayer to the broadband gods before I start any of these talks. If I freeze at all or anything like that, just bear with me. The most it will be like a minor hiccup and I'll be back with you, but hopefully that won't happen. What else to tell you? Yes, to say come along, share at Resilient Retail Club where you're watching. Just to give you a bit of idea of timing, then I'm going to be talking for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. I think we're going to do questions at the end. You know, normally I like to be super informal with these things and have questions as we go along. But I just think there's a lot of people watching today and I've got a lot of content to get through. So I'd prefer it today if we could run through and then we'll do questions at the end. But what I do want to draw your attention to is you have got the chat, which is great. Come along, say hi in the chat. As I said, don't forget to make sure that if you're talking in the chat, you select all panelists and attendees. It's a little drop down arrow just above where you're going to type your message. If you do that, then everyone will see your comment. If you don't, then it may just be me seeing it, which is fine. I'm very happy to see your comments, but if you want to say something to the group, then just be aware that you need to select that. The other thing as well is to draw your attention to the Q&A section. So we've got a chat section for chatting. If you could please put your question into the Q&A. It just keeps it nice and tidy for me. And when it gets to the end, it means that rather than scrolling back through the chat, which is hopefully very lively and people are chatting back and forth, I can go straight to the questions in the Q&A, and then I can work my way through them in a methodical order. So chat for chatting, Q&A for questions, if you please. That would be so helpful, and it just means that you're more likely to get your questions answered. So it will run around, as I said, about 45-50 minutes. Then we're going to do questions. I'm happy to stay on here. I've said 60 to 90 minutes, so I'm happy to stay and answer questions at the end. And if you have got to go, I appreciate, an hour and a half is a big chunk of time. Then again, don't worry, I will keep the recording going until the end, so that if you have to dash off and you want to watch back and see some last questions at the end, then that's absolutely fine. So don't worry about that at all. Let's see, did I get everything? Yes, the replay will be sent this afternoon, 60 to 90 minutes. Q&A for questions, chat for the chat. All right, loving all of this. Look at this. We've got so many people talking about their other local business owners. Yes, lots of people in South London. Yes. Yeah, well, absolutely. South London's, I'm very biased. It's a great place for a small business. Right, let's get going. So this talk, why am I doing this talk? Well, it has been a roller coaster ride. I'm sure a lot of you will agree. This talk is really an amalgamation of all the conversations that I've had. So I'm lucky enough to talk to small business owners, retailers and retail experts pretty much on a day-to-day basis. I'm either talking to one-to-one clients, or I'm talking to my club members, I'm talking to other small business owners, other community managers, so people who have communities of small business themselves, or I'm talking to retail experts and analysts about what's going on in the retail industry, and I talk to them all the time. So this talk was really about me pulling together everything that all the discussions that I've had with the people who've been having a tough time, with the analysts and the experts, to understand what's been going on in the industry, and then also the people who have actually been doing really well. Because I think if I want you to take anything away from today at all, it's that believing in this narrative that everybody's having a really terrible time at the moment is not really very helpful. So there have definitely been people whose businesses have continued to thrive this year, although I will not deny for a moment that it's been a bit challenging. So tell me in the chat, 1 to 6 here. So we've got things like, these are all really taken from conversations that I've had with people, whether that's on Instagram, in my Facebook group, in my free Facebook group. So these are some of the things that come up. It's been a roller coaster ride, struggling with self-doubt, worrying that you're doing something wrong, don't know what you don't know, or you feel like you're on a steep learning curve, would like to understand more about cutting through the noise, and you want to see more traction. So just drop into the chat. Do any of these resonate with you? You can just drop a number, 1 to 6, any of them resonate. All of them. 5 and 6. Okay, yes. Okay, yes. All right. Brilliant. Yeah, lots of people, 4, 5, 6, 1 and 2, all of them, especially number 3. Yeah. Yes, I think that's a really big one, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Yeah, we've got lots of 4s, 5s. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So this is just to know as well, again, what to take away. It's that you're not alone. All of these people watching, they're all going through the same thing. When you're sitting at home in your studio, in your house, or your kitchen table, in your unit, wherever you're working, it's very easy to get caught up and think that you're doing something wrong and you're the only one feeling it, but it's 100% not like that. So just a little note to say, if you want to stay to the end, I am going to be telling you about a special offer, just to let you know, to give you that little incentive to stick around. And just as a little kind of, it's always useful, I think, when you're in a space to think about, is this right for me or not right for me? I would say the majority of you are here because you love your businesses, you love what you do, you love your products, and you care about your customers. This isn't about a get rich. And if you followed me at all, if you know the kind of things that I talk about, you know, there's no such thing as a one size fits all. So this is not for you. If it's something that you're just like, okay, just tell me how to, you know, squeeze as much money as possible out of my customers. That's not really the kind of businesses that I work with. And I'm sure that doesn't apply to any of you. I will be telling you very briefly at the end about the club. I promise you, you are going to get my full attention and lots of really great information. I will be telling you about my membership towards the end. If you don't want to stay for that, you're welcome to duck out. But just to give you a quick heads up that is coming. So comforting to know it's not just me. Yes, Mariam, yes, absolutely. I think that is so important. And then just a really quick intro before we get into the good stuff. My name's Catherine Eardley. If you've not followed me or come across me before, I run the Resilient Retail Club, which is my membership group for product businesses. I also work one-to-one with clients with mentoring, power hours, and intensive strategy sessions. Down the right hand side, I have to say this last year I have been really fortunate to do so many talks and articles and pieces and workshops and all kinds of things with a whole host of really amazing organizations. I am a Forbes.com contributor, which means I write for the Forbes website on the subject of starting and scaling a product business. And I am also very proud to be a Small Business Britain, one of 6 Small Business Britain Small Business Champions, part of the Enterprise Nation sales training team, and an editorial member of the Modern Retail website. So in other words, I spend a lot of time talking and thinking about retail, and specifically when I talk about the retail industry, I'm talking about you guys. I'm talking about small and independent startups, retailers and brands, both online and offline, which I think personally make up the most exciting part of the retail industry. I have now been, this is my 21st year in the retail industry. I spent 17 years in high street retailers. My last corporate position was at Paperchase. And I have worked across pretty much any sort of type of retail you can think of, whether that's franchises, concession models, online stores, wholesale, you name it, I've done it. And I still think the retail industry is one of the most exciting places to be, especially because there are so many new and interesting businesses starting up all the time. And I absolutely love working with all of you guys and your amazing creativity. We probably have a lot more in common than you think as well. I mostly started my business because I wanted to do more of this. This is a pretty old picture now. I have a teenage son who I do not think would agree to be photographed even from the behind. But my job was, you know, extremely demanding, as I'm sure a lot of you will really you know, identify with this. So that's why I run my own business, and nothing gives me more pleasure than helping you guys run your businesses to have the same. Okay, so let's dive in. What has been happening then? So 2021, who agrees that 2021, I mean, in some ways I would say 2020 was really, really tough, but 2021 has been really, really, really challenging. And I think in a way, sometimes more challenging. I'd love to know if anybody else would agree with that. So, you know, who's been dealing with these kinds of things? For example, before we even start talking about retail, who's been dealing with health concerns, whether people in their families, either themselves or in their families, homeschooling at the beginning of the year, concerns about elderly relatives? This is all things that you know, I certainly have going on, and I know a lot of people I talk to have going on. Friends or loved ones, partners, or even their children having to then adjust to come out of lockdown. A lot of people I know, parents, have got children who've really struggled to adjust. So before we even talk about the business, before we even touch on any of that, we have to recognize, I think it's really important that we all take a moment to give ourselves some credit, because if you think about the amount that we've all been juggling, then it's actually incredible, really. It's just been so many. I think as small business owners, we have to recognize that we're 360-degree people. We all have other things going on for us. So layer on top of that some of the swings in the online sales space, particularly, which we're going to touch on now. I think it's really, yes, yeah, 2-year-old. I mean, that's really tough. Like, a lot of parents have been struggling with their kids. So before we even talk about those swings, you've got to kind of just give yourself a pat on the back and just say, wow, okay, there's been a lot going on. So what has been happening? Well, I was looking for some stats, but I know that lots of us here are visual people. So I wanted to show you this graph because I think this graph really actually identifies things. Hopefully you can see it all. I'll just move my head up a little bit there. So this graph is absolutely fascinating. And what you can see here is the percentage of internet sales the internet sales as a percentage, I can't talk today, of total retail sales. Okay, so that is, if for every pound that is spent in the retail industry, how much of that pound is spent online. And so as you can see, here is basically an upward trend that has been going on for years and years, probably since 1995, birth of e-commerce, Amazon starts, all the rest of it. We go from 0% of sales being spent online. And then it starts tracking upwards. So it goes tracking up. And then we see here, this is January, this is just pre-lockdown. And then this is for the UK, by the way, this comes from the Office for National Statistics. And then we go shooting up during lockdown. And then we have a dip in the summer last year when the stores were reopened for a while. And then we go shooting up again. And then we have, this is basically what's been happening in the last few months. The percentage has been readjusting as stores have been reopening, then online sales have been readjusting. So what does that actually look like in terms of numbers? I mean, the numbers are quite incredible. So a June 2021 report by Ofcom suggested that the UK spent 113 billion pounds online in 2020. That was 48% up on the year before. If you want to look at some big businesses that have really been capitalizing on this trend, then Etsy, for example, have had incredible results. I don't know if anyone here is an Etsy seller. They have had, their sales results were incredible and they've gone on a buying spree. So I don't know if anyone saw that they bought Depop recently for 1.6 billion, and they're just buying a Brazilian marketplace, Elo7, for for a large amount of money as well. Also Shopify, is anyone here on a Shopify website? So Shopify, they also have had an unbelievable run. So they're looking at 110% increase in revenue, and that is, which really just, I think all of these things really illustrate the kind of boom that we had in online selling. But of course, then we do see that decline. And so what's causing that? Well, this kind of thing, really. Distracted customers. So there are shifts. Actually, it's interesting because I was looking at the stats, and even though there's a decline, the overall retail sales didn't shift that much between April and May, but it was just the redistribution between the different channels. But basically, pubs and restaurants reopening meant that people were then distracted, and distracted customers spend less. They're spending on different things. So we've seen an adjustment happening over the last few months. What does that cause? Well, this is what I like to call the spiral of doom, just not to be, or the doom spiral, not to be melodramatic. But what we've seen, and based on all the conversations that I've been having and listening to so many people talking about their business, is that what we see, I think, in a way, some small businesses have been disproportionately affected because they've started to see slower sales. And then there's a loss of confidence. The loss of confidence means they're taking less action, and therefore their sales slow down. And so we go around again. Sales slow down, loss of confidence, less action. I don't know if anyone feels like admitting that if this resonates with them. Yes, Sarah says she's been on the spiral of doom. Yeah. So yes. So I think that this is the thing that is again, what I want you to take away from today, or I want you to take away that what we've seen is basically all of the, these changes, these shifts in the overall macroeconomic environment, if you like, or the macro retail industry. A lot of people have found that these have really impacted them on a personal level, on an individual level, which has made it really hard for them to then get refocused and move forward. Okay, so what are we actually going to talk about today? So we're going to talk about that refocusing. We're going to talk about building consistency and building consistent sales. We're going to talk about what has worked and what I've seen which has been working for people, and then we're going to talk about moving forward. Give me a reason to be cheerful. Okay, let's go. All right, so why do we need to be positive? So positivity, I mean, you know, it can seem like a flippant thing to say positive, and it certainly is one of those things that people can overuse and it seems a bit hollow, but the reality is that your mindset is critical. And I always love that saying, you know, whether you think you'll succeed or fail, you're right. Because one of your jobs as a small business owner is managing your mindset. So once we allow that doubt to creep in, and more importantly, once we allow that doubt to start changing our actions or causing us to be inactive, then that is when it is really, really difficult to get out of it. So the only way to ensure that your sales don't improve is to stop showing up. And I say this knowing full well that most people here will have done this so many times over the past few years, over the past year in particular. And I think that's what makes this year so hard, is that you know that you had to pull yourself out of it last year. You knew you had to pull yourself out of it when the shops reopened in the summer. You knew you had to pull yourself out of it at Christmas when things shifted again. And so you've done it lots of times, and it takes up lots of energy. So if you're like, you know what, Catherine, I totally get this, it's just I'm tired, then I say, I get you. I totally get it. I totally get that it's been a really rough ride. But the truth is that it's a question of, you've got to do it again. Keep on smiling. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I think I think that's absolutely true. If you say just keep on smiling or fake it till you make it, I don't necessarily believe in that. I'd say if you're tired, if you need a rest, take a rest, take a break, take a step back. Lots of people, I think, have just hit a wall and they've done it. They've pulled themselves out of it again and again. So I would always say that one of the first things that you need to do is to take a break and to step back. But then you have to kind of engage and go, okay, all right, you know, right, let's do this. Let's go again. And I think the other thing that I wanted to do is show you this graph once again, because I think it's really interesting. So if you look here, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but if you look at this drop here, so it does drop, but we're still quite considerably above where we were last year. So for example, retail experts can think that the pandemic has kind of accelerated online shopping by 3 to 5 years. So this is talking about a trend that was happening anyway, has accelerated. Yes, okay, so it's fallen back somewhat here. But I think you have to remember that this is actually above 2020. Yeah, look at that. Yes, taking a few weeks off. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, okay. So why then focus being, what have we got to be positive about? As I said, it's crucial for your motivation, but of course knowing something is important for you to do doesn't necessarily make it easy. But I think also as well to understand that the shift that we've seen this year, especially in the last couple of months, then we're still seeing it being above last year. So overall, I think we have shifted more online, and I don't think we'll ever go back. Well, we weren't on, you know, online sales have been on an upward trajectory since 1995, and then they took a really sharp uptick in the pandemic. They've kind of renormalized, but as I said, they've moved forward 3 to 5 years. So we would have expected to be at this point in, you know, 2025, and we're already 2025, and we're already there. The other thing as well, 140 billion pounds of additional cash. This is something that the UK Treasury estimates that overall consumers have in additional savings since the pandemic. So again, a lot of people are feeling nervous that this is really sort of the end of consumer spending, but actually there's a lot of evidence that there is additional money that will filter back into the economy, basically. So again, if we tell ourselves that this is it, the online boom's over, people aren't going to spend anything anymore, it's actually, the stats aren't necessarily backing that up. The other thing, do these sales include food retail? Yes, I believe they do. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yeah, my problem is fear of it getting worse. The actual truth isn't bad. Yes, I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. The other thing that I think you've got to remember, and one of the biggest reasons to be positive, is that consumer sentiment, so customers' desire to shop with small and independent businesses, is growing massively. And again, the pandemic has accelerated that. So a study of 2,000 consumers said that 40% of them wanted to reduce their reliance on Amazon, and that was actually up to 53% in Gen Z. So they were genuinely looking for ways to reduce their reliance on bigger retailers. And the number one reason that they gave for that was because they wanted to shop small and support small businesses. So when you think about the trends, even if you think about, okay, so sort of online is softening, but then at the same time, you've got this consumer sentiment, which is they want to shop small, they want to support small retailers. And this is just one survey, but there's so much evidence that I read all the time. Enterprise Nation, for example, did a really great study around Christmas time, and they saw that people were really genuinely planning to shop small. There you go. You haven't shopped with Amazon for 8 years. Love that. Susan makes tangly earrings. Love that too. So people are really genuinely looking for ways to support small businesses. And something that a consumer behaviorist said, which I thought was really interesting, was that the consumer has taken on the idea that shopping small and independent says something really good about them as a person. So people feel good when they shop small. And I believe it was Walt Disney who said people spend money where and when they feel good. So once customers have made that assumption that shopping with a small and independent business makes them a good person and makes them feel good about themselves, then we're only going to see that behavior continue. So I think that there's so much here in terms of consumer sentiment. Also, everything else, not just small businesses, but then you think about conscious consumerism. So customers wanting to buy from businesses that share their beliefs and values. That has accelerated massively. Again, that was a trend. That was a trend that was happening way before the pandemic. It's been going on for a long time, but it accelerated during the pandemic. So people are looking for ethical businesses, sustainable businesses. They want to engage with businesses about their supply chains, about their packaging use, about zero waste, all of these things, which again, small businesses are so well placed to take advantage of this trend. So there are lots and lots of reasons to believe that customers are looking for you, they're looking for your business, and they're looking to engage with small and independents. Okay. Hopefully I've convinced you that there are reasons to be positive. And again, I do appreciate that it is a mindset game. So thinking about trying to look at it from the big picture, and again, not telling yourself that's it, it's over, everything's done. Check your comparison as well. This is something else to think about. If you're finding this hard, also check your stats. I did a challenge in May, Reset, Recharge, Refocus it was called, and one of the first tasks I did was ask people to check their numbers. I said, okay, have a look at everything that's gone really well, and also I want you to look at how the last few months have gone. And most people found that when they actually sat down and looked at the numbers, they were better than they thought. And so again, if you are feeling, where are you compared to the pandemic? If your business has been trading since 2019, for example, it may be that you haven't quite hit the heights of some of the lockdown months in 2020, but actually you way ahead where you were in 2019. These are all really important things for you to think about. So is it genuinely as bad as you think it is? Have you checked your numbers recently? What I've written here is the no wobble zone. How can you create as much as possible, almost like all of the doubt about, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? How can you try and put that to one side? Or do you give yourself 10 minutes a day to have a wobble, but then the rest of the day you have to be focused on, okay, this last year has been crazy. It's really hard to get a handle on exactly, where I expect it to be tracking. But the one thing that you know is that you have to have that self-belief and to keep moving it forward. Okay, so let's talk about some practical tips then for sales, especially if you find that they've been, been inconsistent. So let's talk about inconsistent sales. I want to delve into a little bit of a theory to kind of think about why sales become inconsistent. And I'll start off by saying to you that there are only 4 ways you can grow your sales in your product business. You can get more people to come, you can get more people to buy, you can get people to spend more when they come, and you can get them to come back more often. Amy says, yes, there will be a recording. Don't worry. Yes, you're listening with one ear. Oh, I hope your little man gets better soon. But absolutely, there will be a recording. So those are the 4 ways that you can grow your sales. More people to come, more people to buy when they do come, get them to spend more when they come, and get them to come back and buy from you more frequently. This really ties into the idea of the sales funnel or the customer journey. So if you think about your customer journey, then you go from, the 7 billion people in the world who vast majority of them have never heard about you. Then they move from being unaware to becoming aware. Then they become interested in what you're doing. They buy from you, they become a repeat buyer, and ultimately they become a super fan. So a super fan is somebody who will buy everything that you have in your business. They will, if you launch a new product, they'll buy it, they'll tell their friends about you, they'll purchase your product as gifts for other people that they care about, and they're generally the kind of dream customer that you want. Typically, this number gets bandied around a lot. It changes. People think it's getting higher and higher as we spend more time online. But generally speaking, you're talking about 15 to 20 different touch points to get somebody from being unaware of you to being a super fan. So the key thing really to remember is that first off is we're not so much in the business of getting sales, we're in the business of building these relationships, because these super fans or these warm customers, the repeat buyers, these are the most valuable assets really that you have in your business. This is where the money is in your business. You don't pay to acquire them. You've probably heard the old adage about it costs 7 times as much money to acquire a customer as it does to keep one. It's absolutely true. Repeat buyers spend more money, they come back more frequently, they talk more positively about your business to friends and to others, and they return less as well. So if you're a business that gets a lot of returns, then that may be something as well to think about. So this warm part of your funnel, these buyers and the repeat buyers, this is really the profit driver of your business. And so the thing to remember is that if your sales are inconsistent, are you focusing, is there a possibility, and I invite you to ask yourself this question, is it a possibility that you are focusing too much on the top of the funnel? So if we go back here, that bit where you're trying to make people who are unaware of your business, you're making them aware of them. Are you spending enough time talking to your warm customers? And again, there's a retail expert called Steve Dennis, who's a big US retail commentator, and he said that the most important thing for businesses to be doing post the pandemic is to make sure that they are building on those relationships with the customers that they acquired during the pandemic. So if you did see a big boom in sales, are you now talking to those people who purchased from you? Because nobody is more likely to buy from you than someone who's already bought from you. So if all of your time and effort and energy is spent at the top of the funnel, it can lead to inconsistent sales, because any change to that top funnel, the views dropping, people not being as engaged, then all of a sudden your sales can take a real hit, as opposed to it going through the nurturing those warmer relationships. Okay, so our touch points, interactions, seeing you on social media, at markets, other communications. Yes, that is correct. So a touch point would be they Google ethically made kids clothes and they see your brand name. They go to Instagram, they follow you on Instagram for a while, they sign up, you invite them to join your newsletter, they sign up to your newsletter, they get an email from you, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's an interesting question. Catherine, do you mind popping that into the Q&A and I'll answer that at the end, your question about Etsy. Okay, so think about the ways that you can drive traffic to your website. So again, thinking about that consistency, so thinking as well about these are all activities that maybe you would say were sort of top of funnel activities. So you've got things like well, what I just want you to say, what I want to say about this really is that these are different ways of driving traffic to your website, and a really good solid sales strategy that will help you over time get more consistent sales is a sales strategy that utilizes all of these as opposed to maybe just one element. So SEO, search engine optimization, that's about making sure that Google can make, or any search engine can find your website. 50% of all purchases start with a Google search. So when your website can be found by Google, then you know that you are tapping into the people who are actually looking for the products that you sell. Content marketing works really well with SEO, so that's about blog posts, it's about any time like longer forms of content. Social media marketing, I'm sure you're all very aware of that. Email marketing, this is a really great way to drive traffic back to your website once you've captured people's email addresses, and it's very high converting traffic. So on average, a website, an e-commerce website, converts at around 2%, which means if 100 people visit your website, then 2 people will be purchasing. If you are sending somebody to your website from social media, then they will normally about 0.8% of people will be converting. So it's lower converting traffic. Email marketing, on the other hand, will be at 4%. So it's actually 5 times higher conversion rate than social media. So again, if you start thinking about it like this, then just think about, you know, if you feel like you've had a tough time, are you utilizing all of these different elements? PR is another one. So PR, getting placement for your product or for your business actually in press. So many press, I spend, you know, a fair amount of time checking out things like journalist requests on Twitter. And lots of people do ask about small businesses. They want small product businesses to feature, to talk about what's going on right now. So thinking about ways that you can promote your business. Collaborations, I'm a big fan of this, especially if you don't have much budget. I think collaborations are a brilliant way of you getting in front of somebody else's audience by finding other people that you can collaborate with. And then paid traffic, of course, is part of every, you know, most businesses that grow will have used at some point used paid traffic. It's definitely something that can be very useful for your business. I would definitely say it's something that needs to be approached in a very strategic way. And again, it's expensive. A lot of it, well, obviously you can target different types of audiences, but it is a really, you know, it's a lot of the time you're talking to a cold audience with paid traffic. So it is one of the more expensive ways to grow your sales. Okay. So thinking about then your warm audience. So again, going back to this idea, just ask yourself, are you doing enough to talk to your warm audience? So warm audiences, again, the people who purchase from you, your repeat buyers. Loyalty schemes is a great way of dealing with, working with them, talking to them. Typically, a typical stat for a product business is that you'll be getting around 40% of your sales from 8% of your customers. So your top 8% customers will be providing a huge proportion of your sales. So are you talking to them enough? Content marketing, again, could be another way of actually engaging your warm audience, you know, talking to them about things, blog posts that are important to them. Social media, again, you not just targeting the cold audience, but you can also target your warmer audience too. Email marketing, though, is the one that can really work so well for your warm audience. And a survey by Emarsys, which is an email marketing platform, found that 80% of companies that used email marketing directly increased their customer retention and saw an increase in sales from their most loyal customers. So it's definitely something to consider. All of this to say, in a nutshell, Instagram is not a sales strategy. Now, we all love Instagram. It's fantastic. It's a wonderful place to be, to grow awareness, to nurture connections. But I would invite you to consider, if you're spending a disproportionate amount of time on Instagram and you don't have time to do things like set up your email marketing or look at things like your SEO, then I would just, as I said, invite you to consider if you can redistribute if you can redistribute your time accordingly to cover off more of these different elements. Yes, so again, it's going back to this idea of when you're spending time on Instagram, it's one element. It's not sort of a rounded strategy that looks at all of the different elements and the funnel as a whole. So it's something that you can, as I said, it's a wonderful tool, and it has been transformative for a lot of people, but it can also be really tough. Okay. All right, let's move on. So what actually is working? We're going to run through a few things, as I said, based on conversations that I've had with clients, with club members, with other small businesses, and thinking about, as I said, trying to move away from this idea that everybody's sales have completely dropped off a cliff, because I think that's just not a helpful place to be mentally. I think it's much better to think about the things that work. So a few things. Obviously, we talked about showing up. That's probably one of the most important things, showing up consistently, keep going, keep moving forward. I think those are all really important. And again, I invite you all to think about just how far have you come in a year, and how far do you think you'll be in this time next year? Sometimes just consistency and showing up is so important. The other thing that I wanted to really highlight as well is focusing on your customers' problems. So all of us have businesses that solve problems. If you sell, we tend to think if we sell something ornamental or design-led that it's not a problem solver, but it absolutely 100% is. If you sell candles, then you're solving the problem that maybe people need a gift, or you're solving a problem that people want to create a bit of calm space in their business. So we all solve problems for our customers, and talking about what they're going through and identifying with those pain points. Again, when we say pain points, the customer's pain points, it sounds very dramatic. It doesn't have to be a huge issue, but it's something that's niggling at them, and then you come along with a message that says, oh yeah, okay, actually that solves the problem for me. One of the best examples, if we think back to the pandemic, is the number of businesses that were able to pivot and were able to offer distance gifting. So distance gifting, where you basically say, I will send you this directly to somebody, wrap it for you, add a note, all the rest of it. That was something that was a direct response to a problem that a customer had, that they needed a gift for somebody and they couldn't see them. So what I suggest and what I suggest you do, and what I've seen work really, really well for the businesses, I would say the businesses I've seen that have weathered the last few months the best, they focus in really clearly on what is happening for their customer right now. And again, is it that they're going to be outdoor socializing a lot and they need a warm hoodie for a cold evening because they're going to be outside? Is it about saying that they've got kids who are, the school holidays are about to start again, so they've got kids at home, and they aren't going on holiday when they'd normally go on holiday, so they need to think about how to make home special this summer, or how to entertain their kids this summer. So all of those things are really important for you to think about. And if you can sit down and really brainstorm into this idea of what's going on for my customer, not in general, not as like a general customer exercise, but what's going on for them right now on the 2nd of July 2021, what is my customer going through? And often it's easier than you think, because the chances are you're going through something similar. So think about your own life as a start, thinking about the life of your friends or other people who might be your ideal customer. What are they going through right now? And then start thinking about how your messaging, everything that you do can start talking to where they are right now specifically. And I think that is when that's when you really see the reaction coming, because people are like, oh yeah, that's so true. Oh my God, I do need to think about things that we can do in the holidays, because we're not going away when we normally would have done, and I've got to keep these kids entertained, for example. And if you think about the big retailers, then that's always like, I think, it's Aldi or Lidl that have their infamous middle aisle where they have a changing selection of seasonal products. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're thinking about, what's my customer thinking about right now? They're probably thinking about barbecues. Okay, I'm going to put barbecues in there. So it feels a little bit like you arrive there and you're like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I needed. And I think that's really where the space you want to get to. You want to make your customers feel like you're reading their minds a little bit. So think about what they're going through. Again, if it's jewelry, is it special pieces to to celebrate getting through lockdown? Is it that you want to wear a great pair of earrings to meet up with your friends for the first time? Like, what is it that your customer's most likely to be doing? Okay. So something else to think about, other sales channels. Now, I don't say this lightly because sales channels obviously, and so by sales channels, I mean different ways of selling to your customer, but it is something to consider. So again, I've worked with people who have a wholesale channel and a direct to customer channel. And of course, last year, their wholesale channel took a really big hit. But then this year, maybe their website has softened a little, but their wholesale's picked back up. So there is an element to which selling in multiple places can be beneficial to your business. And if it's something that you want to look at, how can I get my products out there in front of more people, then it is something that you can consider. As I said, I don't say this lightly. Not every business is going to be in a position to wholesale. Not every business is going to be in a position to be on other channels. But it's just, again, something for you to think about when you're kind of looking at your overall business strategy and you're thinking about, right, how can I do more? How can I grow my sales? Then thinking about these additional channels can be really important. Some questions to ask yourself. As I said, I don't take it lightly. You've got to think about what's the financial cost to join this channel, what's the time cost, can you actually maintain it, keep it going. But the two most important questions really, or actually the most important question when you're thinking about another channel is my customer there? So is my customer actually shopping on that channel? And that goes for the fact that there's the big marketplaces, and then there's a huge number of smaller platforms that are jumping up. So curated marketplaces where they're curating around interest, for example. But whenever you're offered the opportunity to join one of those, then just thinking about that, is my customer here? Is this the best place for me to be? Who else is selling here as well? Because to a certain extent, we are sort of slightly judged by the company we keep. So if you're invited to join another platform or another sales channel, thinking about who else is there. There's so many different options, so many different ways that you can think about it. I would suggest that maybe you do a little bit of an audit. If you are really thinking, maybe I should add another sales channel to my business, then I would do a little audit where you look at some businesses that are like yours and you check out where they sell and check all the different channels that they're on. Maybe you even look at a business that's even bigger than yours and see which channels they've got, just to kind of get an idea of where is my customer shopping. Trube has been a godsend. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, lots of people have had this experience where they've maybe been, a bricks and mortar store and they've been using something like Truba. Okay, I'm conscious of time, so I'm going to just very quickly go through the other thing as well, which is about building know, like, and trust. So this really ties into my point about the customer piece. So we were talking about really thinking about your ideal customer, of what they're going through right now. And I think that just, again, bringing it back to your customer, if you're ever stuck, think about your ideal customer, think about who they are, what they're interested in, think about what kind of opportunities that might afford you in terms of collaborations, other people. One of the most important questions you can ask yourself is, who else owns a relationship with my customer? So if your customer's an eco-conscious, zero waste advocate, and you sell zero waste products for the home, then is there somebody who sells zero waste clothing or otherwise has a zero waste related business that you could then collaborate with, for example? So I think that, the question about, Mariam has a question about, showing your face on social media. Absolutely. I think that can help you build that know, like, and trust. But I think being consistent, showing up really helps. Talking to your customer about things that are important to you, which are also important to them, is also really useful. And generally, the more that you can feel like you're making that connection, you keep showing up and you keep talking to them, then that's, again, another way of really increasing the number of loyal customers, because almost anything that you do to attract new customers will also help you retain your loyal customers. So talking about what you believe in, talking about your latest products. But I think whenever you feel stuck or lost in your business, then just think about, how can I bring it back to my ideal customer? So yeah, this kind of goes back to this idea of people buy from people. So the question about showing up on social media, is that the right way to go? Then I think absolutely. Showing that there's a person behind the brand, showing what you stand for, thinking about your mix of messaging. So you're offering them value, you're talking about your what's important to you as a business owner, connecting with them around where they are right now, and also trying to have that two-way conversation. Okay. So where do we go from here? I'd really invite you to think about a few questions. Am I showing up? Do you believe that you're doing enough, or have you got yourself trapped in the doom spiral? Do you think you're spending enough time on your warm audiences, or are you focusing more on your cold audiences or your social media? Have you re-looked at your problems that your customers facing and thought about what are they going through right now, and how can my messaging and everything that I do, my communication, really help them with that? Is it right for my business to add another sales channel? The answer is not always going to be yes, but it's definitely something to consider to help you to diversify your income streams. And what is the next action that I can take? If you're feeling overwhelmed, think of one thing based on all of these questions, maybe one small step that you can take, one small action that you can take, that you can add it to your to-do list and you can get it done. The other thing I want to say as well is, whatever you do, don't let this funk or this kind of the doom spiral suck you into not preparing yourself for Christmas, because Christmas is, I think we're going to see, I feel confident about Christmas. I think it's going to be a great Christmas for independent businesses. Christmas is when the customers got an intent to spend, they want to buy, they want to know what you've got to offer, and they want to support you. So getting yourself ready for Christmas, if you are a bit quieter right now, generally speaking, 1/3 of all retail spend happens in the 6-week run up to Christmas. That is a huge proportion of all of the money spent in retail across the year. 1/3 of it happening in what they call the golden weeks in the run up to Christmas, those 6-week period. So you want to be ready for it. If you're a gifting based brand, if you're somebody, and a lot of small businesses are, because we tend to be slightly higher price point, we tend to be gift focused, then you may even find even more than 1/3 of your sales happen in those 6 weeks. So you want to be ready. So what you don't want to do is get yourself in a headspace where you think, oh, well, nothing's worthwhile, I'm not even going to bother, and then you don't get ready, and then you get caught out in the Christmas rush. Have sales of Christmas items already. Wow, that's amazing. Love that. So in conclusion then, I know we rattled through a lot of information in the last 50 minutes, but you've got to stay focused and positive. As I said, I don't say this flippantly. I know that it's not about, fake it till you make it. Take a break if you need it. Take some space away. Acknowledge just how many different things that you've been juggling. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. Give yourself credit. Celebrate your successes. Try and really just appreciate everything that you've done. And the minute you get into that blame game, onto the doom spiral, then it's very hard to get out of it. So do what you need to do to really give yourself credit and to look forward. Start thinking about your whole funnel, not just the top of it. Start thinking about, are you communicating with people all the way down, all the way through? And if you do nothing else after today's talk, then I do invite you to go and have a look at your best customers and have a chat with them. Can you send them, as long as they've agreed to receive emails from you, can you send them an email? Do you talk to any of them on social media? And it doesn't have to be a selling conversation. I'm not saying go out there and push your stuff, but just even talking to them. I mean, we talk about systems and ways of identifying your best customers and that kind of thing, but sometimes just a human to human connection can be really good as well. So focus in on your customer. If you ever feel unsure what to do, what to try, really think deeply about where your customer is right now, what they're going through, and think about how your communication, your product offering can reflect that. It may not be that you get the answer right away. You may have to trial different messages, but if you always bring it from that point where you start with a customer and work backwards, then that's really key. And don't let the kind of current wobbles mean that you're not ready for Christmas, because I do believe that it will be a good, strong Christmas for independent businesses and brands. I think the customer's a bit distracted right now, but I think that also Christmas gifting will be important, and a lot of people will be looking to support independent. Yes, definitely need to talk to my warm customers, says Julie. Yes, absolutely. Okay, and then Christmas, it'll be time to celebrate, and I think it's important. Celebrating is really important. Again, why not take 5 minutes after this talk and just note down everything that has gone right for you and your business in the last year. I think it's so important. We're terrible, small business owners, we are terrible at celebrating our successes. We tend to go, oh yeah, okay, boom, on to the next thing. But actually, if you take a moment to really dial into what you're happy about, what's successful, what's worked really well for you, then I think that it's really important, and it will help you get focused and positive. As I said, I will introduce you to the Resilient Retail Club. It is my membership group for product businesses. I would love to have you join me. I do have a special offer. I'm offering for the next, 10 days, the opportunity to join for your first month for just £1, which is a trial offer. You come, you get access to everything for 30 days for £1. That will be going out in an email after this. For £1, you get full access, and then it's £29 a month. You have a library of courses. We cover everything that we've talked about, from your sales funnel. We talk about email marketing. We talk about launching products. We talk about lots about profits and stock management as well. There's also 4 live sessions a month. So there's 2 Ask Me Anything sessions with me. We also have a planning session. We had our first one this week. It was brilliant, where we actually put together a plan together for the month, and then you've got the opportunity to talk to other small business owners about it, as well as workshops with other experts as well. There's a really lovely supportive community, such a great Facebook group. People ask lots of questions. I'm in the group every day, Monday to Friday, answering questions, and lots of other support from other members as well. And then we also have a bonus. So there's a 3-month planner. It covers July, August, September. So if you come out of this and you feel like, okay, right, I want to get my stuff together, then you'll get immediate access to that planner, and you'll be able to work through a series of prompts and exercises to get you ready, to make the most of your summer and hit the ground running in September. And as I said, the 3-month planner, it's really just about that, but getting prepared, making the most of it, getting ready for Christmas during those quieter summer months. There's no minimum sign up, £29 a month. You can stay for as long or as little as you like. The £1 trial gets you access to everything, complete full access for 1 month. And if you want to cancel after that, no questions asked. I wanted to offer the trial because I can tell you about the group as much as I like, but the best way for you to experience it is to come and try it yourself. Okay, and now we are on to questions. My goodness, I have 28 questions to work through. So I am going to have a sip of water, and then I'm going to move through them. Okay, so first question has, and as I said, so I'm aware of the time. We're coming up to about 11:30. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to go through these questions, and I'm going to keep going until they're done. So if you want to stay, then please stay. If you have to drop off, thank you so much for being here. As I said, look out for the email, and also I will be sending out the replay this afternoon. So if you've got to go and you want to watch the Q&A, then you can watch it later. Okay. All right. On that graph, it looks like internet shopping figures are the same in May 21 as August 2020. So why are my May 21 sales 1/8 of what they were in August? Well, I think that you would have to, right, so you're saying that it looks the same level. I think it depends. It's a little bit different. The only trouble with that graph is that that's a general graph of all retail. So it will be different according to the products. So different product areas will have had different patterns. I think the other thing as well to look at, whenever you feel like your sales are down, then I would look at, what was working last year. Is it that traffic is down? Is it conversions down? Is it that actually I had these items that were really, really great this time last year, and I don't have them in stock this year? Is it that you had an amazing piece of PR and you got featured in the Telegraph, and therefore that's what drove all of the sales? So I would start digging into those questions and what's been happening specifically for your business. Okay. Oh, a touch point. Yes. So a touch point is about then, I think I explained this in the talk, but it's just anytime somebody interacts with your business or sees your business. Okay, so how can we reconnect with huge numbers of customers we had last summer? If they haven't signed up to a newsletter, then we aren't legally allowed to just drop them a mail because of GDPR. Okay, so I think that so there's different ways. People have different approaches to this. Some people will assume that if somebody's purchased from them, then there's a reasonable assumption that they can email them going forward. Of course, that's not always true. I think the key thing is, can you convince people to re-sign up to your email list? If they've bought from you previously, then you can still make the assumption that they're one of your warmest part of your audience, because no one's more likely to be buying from you. So can you, I think the other thing as well is also part of that is unfortunately you can't turn back time, but in general, when you're inviting people to sign up to a newsletter, are you giving them enough encouragement? Are you saying, oh, sorry, do you mind if you tick this box, I'll send you emails? Or are you saying, hey, this is a really great opportunity to be on my email list, and to hear more from me? So I would say that part of it is once they have purchased from you, that you're almost selling them the idea of being on your newsletter as part of the checkout process. But then I also think that, again, those people may still be around. If they have not opted in to get your newsletter, then it is difficult. You can't then suddenly start bombarding them. It's possible. And again, I have to say, like, don't take, this is not legal advice. So if you're unsure and you want to get legal advice, then do so first. But is it possible to send an email and just say, offer them a discount to re-opt in? But I think that you're right. The best way, the cleanest way to get people's emails addressed is to get them to opt in. Okay. How can I encourage repeat customers? Anything quirky or cheap to do that could surprise or delight? I think, checking in with them after they've made the purchase, checking that they're happy with it. Can you put in a handwritten note? Sometimes people put in a bounce back discount as well to encourage a repeat purchase. So it's a small percentage off, maybe, to encourage people to come back and buy again. Could you put like a little small gift into, and by small gift I mean like a chocolate or something in the package when you send it to them. So again, it's just like those little touches. Often encouraging repeat purchases comes down to really great customer service. It's one and the same thing. Being available, or being clear in your communication, being quick to resolve issues, just being generally really easy and pleasant to deal with, can go a long way to encouraging repeat customers. And then that doesn't cost anything. Is there a way to follow up with Etsy customers that GDPR compliant? No, Etsy do not want you to. Etsy want to own the relationship with their customers. I always suggest that you have, even if you sell on Etsy, I always suggest that you have your own website as well. It's very hard to encourage sales throughout the sales funnel if you can't then re-talk to the people who bought from you. So Etsy is brilliant, but it will get harder for you to then really milk the kind of repeat customers. So it's not necessarily so that you shouldn't do it. I mean, Etsy is great, again, for revenue. It can work really well just as a great revenue driver. It can work really well for discovery. People got discovered on Etsy, but in terms of communicating with repeat customers, that is basically no, they don't want you to do that. So add a discount code as card as a thank you when I pack my orders. It definitely helps. Are they allowing that? I know that I know not on the high street, for example, is an example of a business that absolutely 100% does not allow you to put cards and things like that in the packages, but I'm not sure about Etsy. I thought that they didn't approve, and I don't know what happens to you if they find out you're doing it. That's the other thing I'd check. Is a touch point seeing an ad in a magazine as well? Yeah, absolutely, for sure, yes. I've been focusing on building my email newsletter and have been emailing more regularly than before, but my sales have gone right down from my emails. I've made my emails more interesting, so I don't understand why this is happening. Any ideas? I would just check with your emails. Are you focusing on the product? When you say they're making them more interesting, are you still making them very sales focused? I would say, are you leading with the product? And I sometimes think that the simpler an email newsletter, the better. It could also be a little bit of a dip as people are adjusting to getting more emails from you. So I wouldn't give up on it just yet. Okay. What's the best way to get people to subscribe to a newsletter, website, or email marketing? Okay, so I think there's lots of different. This is it's a pretty meaty topic, but let's just put it this way. I think one of the most important things you need to do is tell people you've got an email list and sell it to them. So do you talk about it on social media? Do you invite them to join? Do you give them as well incentives? So an incentive could be a discount code, for example. It could be 10% off your first purchase. A lot of people use that and they like it, they just find it efficient. You can also think about what's something else that you can offer to a customer. So a lead magnet is what it's known as. So for example, if you sell a travel accessories brand, could you offer them a free printable PDF with a downloadable checklist, for example, for them when they're next going away, once we can all go away. So there's lots of different ways, but I'd say being really positive about it, talking it up, making it really visible. Is it on your email footer when you send emails to people? Is it on your social media? Do you talk about it frequently? Is it really visible on your website? Do you have a pop-up on your website? Do you have a banner at the top that encourages them? Is there in your footer of your website so that you can actually get people to join? So are you talking about it? Are you shouting about it? Are you trying lots of different things? Maybe that you try a discount you don't see too much, but then you tell everyone that they're going to get 24-hour premium access to your sale event, and then they may join you. Just trying lots of different things and being positive. Conversion from my newsletters doesn't happen for me. Do you have suggestions for what I can do to change things? So be similar to what I'd said previously, but being consistent, leading with the product, keeping it super simple. Are you making it so that there's one thing for them to do? So for example, if you do like a roundup newsletter with lots of links in it, it sometimes doesn't convert as well as just having one which is like, our new product, here it is, link to buy, this is why we love it. So try thinking, keeping it simple and really clear for the customer what it is you want to do. Yeah, Etsy's, yeah, we talked about this. So Holly had a question, how can I reach my warm customers given that I sell on Etsy? I don't think Etsy allows you to communicate with customers post-sale, so it's hard to get email sign-ups, followers. Yes, it is true, Holly. I think, you know, Etsy, this is why I always suggest having your own website. It is everything that we've just talked about. They want to own that relationship with the customers. Okay. How much do you suggest as a budget for paid advertising? I think that's a tough one to answer. I think that you would want to, I think you want to do it in a very structured way. And I would suggest if you want to get into paid advertising that you either work with someone to do it for you, or you look at doing a course. So somebody like the Ecom Growth Hub, for example, do a course where they teach you how to run your own. Or Carly Stringer is another Facebook ads expert who's about to start her own membership about Facebook ads. I think, yeah, I mean, I think if you want to start, I don't even want to say start small and build up, because I think that you've got to do it in a very strategic way. I'm not sure it's a question of saying there's X amount you should send. Samira says, paid traffic gets a high click-through rate, but the ROAS is low. Is there a price point in offers which are more lucrative at top and middle funnel? I think that's, again, I would say I'm not a paid ad specialist. I know that people have made it work for them at a variety of different price points. I'm not so much sure it's about the price point as it is about the kind of offers and the kind of what you're offering them. But I would suggest I would suggest trial and error for sure, trying different things. But I don't know that there's a hard and fast rule. Okay, videos. Brenda says, videos are so popular at the moment, but I don't want to show my face. I'd love some tips on video content without showing my face, please. Okay. what about your, okay, so this is a really interesting one, because I think that video content is so important. It is really crucial. And we kind of whipped through the piece on building know, like, and trust with a customer, but video 100% shortcuts that route. I definitely agree with that. I think when it comes to video, I would say that if you really don't want to have your face, I mean, I could try and convince you otherwise, because I'm sure that anything you're telling yourself about why you can't show your face is almost certainly not true. Most people love seeing people on video and they really respond to it, and you know, to see a whole different range of people is wonderful. But anyway, if I'm not going to convince you the important that you can show your face, if you want to focus on the product. So for example, my trusty timer, which has been the stand-in for many a talk. So if I do a video now, okay, you can see my face, but you can easily see how you could show it where it's hands only. Then you can then show everything about this product. And I would suggest that you focus your videos on your products, because the video allows you to get the closest that you can online to the experience of being there in a physical space. So for example, I recently bought a sofa bed. It was quite a long buying process because I did loads of research. But one of the things that clinched it for me was a video where there was literally just a hand pushing down on the pillow on the sofa, and you could see how squishy it was. And because I was really concerned about the comfort level, because this is the sofa bed that people, probably me to be honest, when we have visitors, will be sleeping on for like a week to 2 weeks. I wanted it to be comfortable, and that video really helped me understand how it moved. So I think if you don't want to focus on your face, focus on your products, be hands, be voice. It's still getting a sense of you, but without you having to show your face. There you go. Oh, Bex has got an example here. Yes, I'm sure you have a lovely face. I'm sure you do, Brenda. If you work with PR on marketing, what is it exactly? So PR, basically, I think about PR as like sowing lots of little seeds. So you're pitching your products to publications, whether it's online or offline. But I think the key thing really about PR is almost having this mindset about constantly thinking about how can you promote your business. Do you have a local newspaper that would love to run a story about local person starts business in lockdown? You know, can you as a business owner share your story? There's lots of really great places to, I mean, there's lots of great resources about how to get contacts for pitching to the press. Actually, my latest podcast episode, so my podcast is the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My latest one that came out yesterday was a talk with Komal, who runs the Design Palette, who was talking about pitching to the press. There's loads of great tips in that. And the other place that I would suggest that I've personally been enjoying hugely is the Lightbulb PR. It's a Lightbulb PR Facebook group, and it's basically a private Facebook group, and it's just got business owners and journalists in it. And journalists will ask for case studies, and then people in the group can respond to them. And people, I mean, and I use it for my Forbes articles, to be honest. Sometimes I need somebody to comment for Forbes, and I just need to find someone quickly, and I can drop it in. So yeah, absolutely, it's an opportunity for you to get your business featured in lots of different ways. But yeah, check out this week's podcast episode. Emma asked, do you know any good loyalty apps that work well with Shopify? Yes, I would suggest Loyalty Lion. I had Loyalty Lion's marketing director on my podcast recently. I can't remember the episode number, but it's a really good episode all about loyalty. And Loyalty Lion is really good. I recommend them, and I know a lot of people who use them. I launched Little London Lady last week. Eek, congratulations, Julie. What advice do you have to gain the right target audience? Collaborate, collaborate, collaborate. Find out, Little London Lady, who else is a complementary, non-competitive business to yours? So by complementary, non-competitive, I mean if you sell baby clothes and they sell baby shoes, then that is complementary, non-competitive. Build up relationships with them, use Instagram specifically to build those kind of relationships, and then look at ways that you can collaborate, look at ways that you can get yourself in front of their audience and allow them access to your audience. Even if you've got 20 people in your audience and they've got 10, at the start, you might get another 2 or 3, and they might get another 2 or 3, and then you just go from there. And I'd say that is one of the best ways to grow organically, low cost. B has to go, thank you. Taz, I will come to your, so membership groups still be relevant. Yeah, we have some food businesses in the membership as well. Not, I would say, I'm not going to say it's a huge number. I'd say maybe 5% of the rest of the club is food and drink. Majority are not, but there definitely are members in there. Okay, all right. Karen says, I only sell via Etsy at the moment. I invest in ads within Etsy, but I don't think it works great. I was planning to get into Facebook IG ads, but someone mentioned it's a bit of a waste of time. I think it's tough, Karen. So you're asking, is it worth driving Facebook and Instagram ads to your Etsy shop? I would say if you're investing in paid traffic, I would want to see it going to your own website so you can capture those email addresses, because then any money you're spending at the top there to acquire them, then you're going to be able to really make the most of it through your emails as well. So I would say, yeah, I think it's tough to run social media ads to an Etsy shop. Okay, I run an accessories and homeware company with my original artwork. I have a Squarespace website. I would really like to start collecting reviews. Do you have a recommendation of a way of doing this? Do you know, have content ideas for mail out email for past customers? So Kerry, I do have in the membership group, I have a course called Introduction to Email Marketing. It has got 101 ideas for your newsletter. It's one of the PDFs in the course is 101 ideas for your newsletter. So there's lots of ideas there. Collecting reviews. I would say that there are plugins. So there's one called Yotpo, a lot of people like. I'm not sure for Squarespace. I personally just use Google reviews. So I have an automated email set up for club members and for clients that after a certain amount of time, I send it to them and ask them if they would write me a review. It's got a link then to my Google reviews. And then I collect them that way, because Google reviews are also useful when somebody Googles the business, they can see my business profile with all my reviews on it. So it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be expensive, but definitely start collecting those reviews. What's your view on Pinterest? Seems to have changed recently. I think Pinterest has actually been booming. Funnily enough, going back to my podcast, last week's episode was about Pinterest with Mrs. Social, Vanessa Rinaldi, who's a big Pinterest expert. I actually think it's a great place to be at the moment. They are changing. They're trying to do more video, trying to do these idea pins. They've been pushing a lot. But for sure, I think Pinterest is I definitely think it's a good place to be. And I always think of it as, it's not even really social media, it's kind of like an image search engine, but they've seen a huge boom in the pandemic, and I definitely think it's a good place to be, because people on Pinterest are looking for purchases, they're planning purchases. Rachel Emma, yeah, Rachel Emma is great, fantastic. I've got a recommendation in the comments. Yes, so Julie, yes, so we talked about collaborations, mailing list, making people sign up. I think, again, thinking about what can you offer them. So how do we get people to sign up to our mailing lists? As I said before, you're making it visible, sound excited about it, keep talking about it, put it everywhere that you can think about, and almost rotate through it once a week, once a month. Make sure you're telling people about your mailing list. Think of ways to get them excited about being on there. Are they going to get premium access? Are they going to get first dibs on the sale? That kind of thing. Okay, I struggle to identify my customers' problems or pain points. I run a luxury lifestyle clothing and accessories company. Could you help with some examples, please? Oh, yes. Okay, so problem. What do I wear? I don't like the way I look. I want something to make me feel better. I want to, I've been locked down in my stretchy, elasticated waist trousers for 18 months, and now I have to go to an occasion. What am I going to wear now? I think that clothing is actually really ripe for thinking about these pain points. So for example, I used to work for Coast, which before Boohoo bought it, which is a whole other story, they had premium occasion wear, and there was a lot of stuff there about people's pain points were about they didn't know how to put together an outfit. We think because we're specialists in products, or you know, if you run a lifestyle clothing and accessories company, you've probably got a great eye, great style, and a great way of putting together an outfit and feeling polished and pulled together. But your customers 100% don't. I will really think that a lot of them will struggle with that. So they are looking to you for information about, okay, how can I look good? How can I look stylish? How can I look polished and pulled together? They probably see that person who always looks like they've got it together, and they're like, I wish that was me. So I think there's a lot of stuff around clothing, you know, is hugely tied into the way people feel about themselves, the way they present themselves to the world. So I think there's lots of scope there. And also talk to your customers if you're ever not sure about it. You know, maybe just have a chat with them. Just say, yeah, I mean, you can't really say like, what do you struggle with, but just kind of get a sense of them. Oh, how, you know, how come you're shopping with us today? Is there anything specific you're looking for? And they'll probably tell you. Once you start listening for the pain points, you'll start hearing them. Michelle's got a dash, no problem. Karen's got a dash, no problem at all. I must admit, guys, there are still 30 questions open, so we've got 10 minutes, so let's see. Any good channels for premium children's wear that you know of? I think I would say do some research into your competitors, see where they're selling. What are warm and cold customers? Okay, so warm customers are people who are kind of warmed up to you. They know you, a bit more about you. Cold customers are people who've literally never heard about you. What other wholesale online sales channels are there for small businesses like ours from Africa? So Jane, there are absolutely loads of third-party wholesale platforms. They're springing up at the moment. There's people like Fair, Fairling, Creo8, Anchor Store. Those are just ones that jump up, sort of pop into my mind. So Google wholesale marketplaces and have a look. Okay, Karen says, how do you know that your lack of sales is because of the environment rather than your product not being very good? Right, well, there are always products that fail. You can have a hugely successful business. Most of the multi-million, like multiple 100 million, in fact, I've worked for a multi-billion company, would consistently have products that failed. They would have products that did amazingly and products that did really badly. So, of course, you can have that your product's not very good. But I think if it's been going well and then it suddenly drops off, it's not that your product suddenly got bad. I'd say if you are, it is a tricky one. You have to kind of balance, especially when you're first starting out, you have to ask yourself that question, is the product working or not? And I think that you want to try and get as much feedback as possible. Try and talk to as many people as possible. Try and understand, do they have hesitations about buying? Is there anything going on? But I would say that for the majority of people, if you've had sales, if you've had people selling from you and then you've seen it dip, it's unlikely to be the product. But I do appreciate what you're saying. You don't want to go along on the assumption that your product's absolutely fine if it's completely, you don't get any traction. But I think that I think the answer to that is feedback. Try and get as much input as possible from your customers. Some people say that you should have a conversation with 100 ideal customers before you even launch your business, which seems huge, but actually that's the kind of level of feedback sometimes it takes to get a really good understanding. I do. Natasha had a question. Do I do one-to-one sessions? I do, yes, I think. Okay, I'm going to see if I can remember. Retailclub.com. I don't think I can type this properly. /work with me. It has got all the details. Okay. My self-doubt comes every now and then, and I feel I'm still not sure who my ideal customer is or actually where it is. I've created my ideal picture of the customer, but not sure how to reach them for sure. I offer personalized gift for the whole family, but my personalization is very different. It goes beyond adding a name. So I'm looking for similar brands. There are not many that do a similar thing. Okay. Yeah, I see that. I think maybe you have to just, again, conversations with your customers. Can you get some of them I used to say offer people cakes to come and talk to you, but of course we can't really do that so much now. Or well, we can a little bit more, but I think if you're not sure about who your customer is, then just keep trying to talk to them. Try and talk to people who you think might be your ideal customer and try and understand more about them. Thank you. Louise has to go. Mandy says, when you run workshops and lives in your membership, are they during the day or evening? I work 4 full days a week, so I struggle to make day sessions and miss the opportunity to ask the questions to join the chat. That's a great question, Mandy. I do periodically do evening sessions. They are mostly in the day. That's basically based on just kind of the sort of what generally works for people, but I do occasionally have them. I do appreciate that not everybody is available during the day. And I do try and shift the days that they happen on. So if you work a certain number of days, then there's a chance that it might fall on one of the days that you're off, if that makes sense. Does the planner show special dates for certain weeks, e.g. Friendship Week, etc., says Louise? It doesn't have that. It's not a content planner. It's more like an action planner. What I will say, though, Louise, is that in the membership group, when we do a monthly planning session, we do have a template for that month. So we've just had one in the group, which is for July, and then it's got a planner including some of the key dates for July. Amy said, I don't know if Etsy is the right sales channel for me. I've been thinking about it for a while. I think the good thing about Etsy, Amy, is that, okay, it's time that you have to put into setting it up, but it's not hugely expensive to set up and try. So I think if you're really not sure and you want to just give it a go, then I would just try it and see. Oh my goodness. Rosie says, lots of stress and confusion at the moment about the new customs rules. How to juggle figuring that all out with everything else going on. Easy to get bogged down in all the complex behind the scenes. Yeah, absolutely. I do think that the latest rules on a VAT, European VAT, means some people have literally just switched off their international shipping. I know that's not possible for everybody if it's a big portion of your sales. So I think that my suggestion would be that you definitely, if you've got an accountant and hopefully they're clued up, small business accountant, then they can help give you some direction. But there's a lot of, it's the decision if you register for European VAT or not. And I think that if in doubt, look, early in the year, John Lewis turned off their international shipping. So if John Lewis turned off their international shipping for a bit to sort it out, I think it's perfectly reasonable for some of us small businesses to do. Okay. Is it possible to introduce an emailing list through Etsy somehow? I think it's very difficult. I think going back to, some people said they put a code in their parcel that they send out to people to get them to come back and buy from their website. But Etsy make it as hard as possible. Right, okay, I've got oh my goodness, I've got so many more here. Okay, I'm probably not going to get through all of them, so I am just going to skip through and have a quick look. Are you seeing a rise in eco-conscious buying across all sectors? I did a survey and found that many parents aren't considering organic as it's too expensive for the early months, with the average only wanting to spend 10 to 15 per romper. Emma, I would suggest that it seems to me like that may not be quite the right audience for you. I actually worked in organic baby and kids wear back in 2012, where we definitely were ahead of the curve and people weren't ready for it. But I think that a lot of people are much more concerned about organic cotton now. So I definitely think baby is actually one of those very emotive areas that people feel really strongly about having eco-friendly for the baby. And lots of people asking questions about emailing. It definitely said in the membership group there is the introduction to email marketing, so if you're thinking about it, come along. As I said, I'm going to send out the email later today with the £1 trial, so why not come along and try it for a month? You can have a look at the email marketing course and take a look, and I go through everything, right, frequency, about what to write, about how to grow your list, and how to talk about your list. What other platforms do you recommend apart from MailChimp? I think Klaviyo is a really good email. Yeah, Kim's going to join. Amazing. Klaviyo is a really good email marketing tool. A lot of small businesses use it. It works well, plays nicely with Shopify, and it's got some really powerful segmentation. Do you recommend sending different email newsletters to regular customers than to people who haven't yet bought? It's an interesting question, Naomi. I'd say that could be tough to do. If it's going to be a question of you never send an email newsletter because you've got to do 3 different versions, then don't do it. Just keep it really simple. But you could try. But I think in a way it's nice to be personal, make them feel they're more connected with you. Wonderful. Yes. Okay. So yeah, target audience are very low income. No, I hear you. That is a tough one. Okay, everyone's got a dash. Not to. I'm worried warm customers would get annoyed that I'm using their email to send more marketing communication. Do people mind a lot? If they mind, Geraldine, then they're just going to unsubscribe, and they're doing you a favor if they unsubscribe, because then they get off your email list and you don't have to pay as much money. So it costs you money. Even if you start on MailChimp for free, eventually it's going to cost you money. So I would definitely say that if people are annoyed, then they can just unsubscribe. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up now. And as I said, I will send out the replay shortly. I thank you so much to everyone for being here. Then do come along, try it out. It's a £1 trial. Said you get full access to everything for a month. You can figure out if you like it and you want to stay, which of course we hope you do. But if you don't, there's no questions asked. So you can come along, take a look around, join a couple of events, ask some questions in the Facebook group and find out more. As well as get the 3-month planner. So thank you again, and look out for that. I hope you have a wonderful day. If I didn't get around to answering your question and you're sitting here feeling a bit miffed about it, then just send me a DM on Instagram. I'm happy to, at Resilient Retail Club. As I said, do share on Instagram, show us where you're watching. If you're watching on the replay, share that too. But yeah, if I didn't get to your question and you've got more burning questions to ask, then please just DM me. I will happily answer it. But I think we're out of time. So thank you so much for coming and have a wonderful day.